His glory, by whose might all things are moved, pierces the universe, and in one part sheds more resplendence, elsewhere less. In heaven, that largeliest of his light partakes, was I, witness of things, which to relate again surpasseth power of him who comes from thence, for that, so near approaching its desire our intellect is to such depth absorbed, that memory cannot follow. Nathless all, that in my thoughts I of that sacred realm could store, shall now be matter of my song. Benign Apollo, this last labor aid, and make me such a vessel of thy worth, as thy own laurel claims of me beloved. Thus far hath one of steep Parnassus' brows suffolked me, henceforth there is need of both for my remaining enterprise do thou enter into my bosom, and there breathe so, as when Marsyas by thy hand was dragged forth from his limbs unsheathed. O power divine! If thou to me of shine impart so much, that of that happy realm the shadowed form tracked in my thoughts I may set forth to view, thou shalt behold me of thy favored tree come to the foot, and crown myself with leaves, for to that honor thou, and my high theme will fit me. If but seldom, mighty sire. To grace his triumph gathers thence a wreath Caesar or bard, more shame for human wills depraved, joy to the Delphic god must spring from the Pyrean foliage, when one breast is with such thirst inspurred. From a small spark great flame hath risen, after me perchance others with better voice may pray, and gain from the Syrian city answer kind. Through diver passages, the world's bright lamp rises to mortals, but through that which joins four circles with the threefold cross, in best course, and in happiest constellation said he comes, and to the worldly wax best gives its temper and impression. Morning there, here eve was by almost such passage made, and whiteness had o'erspread that hemisphere, blackness the other part, when to the left I saw Beatrice turned, and on the sun gazing, as never eagle fixed his ken. As from the first a second beam is wont to issue, and reflected upwards rise, e'en as a pilgrim bent on his return, so of her act, that through the eyesight passed into my fancy, mine was formed, and straight, beyond our mortal wont, I fixed mine eyes upon the sun. Much is allowed us there, that here exceeds our power, thanks to the place made for the dwelling of the human kind. I suffered it not long, and yet so long that I beheld it bickering sparks around, as iron that comes boiling from the fire. And suddenly upon the day appeared a day new risen, as he, who hath the power, had with another sun bedecked the sky. Her eyes fast fixed on the eternal wheels, Beatrice stood unmoved, and I with ken fixed upon her, from upward gaze removed at her aspect, such inwardly became as Glaucus, when he tasted of the herb, that made him peer among the ocean gods. Words may not tell of that transhuman change, and therefore let the example serve, the weak, for those whom grace hath better proof in store. If I were only what thou didst create, then newly, love, by whom the heaven is ruelled, thou know'st, who by thy light didst bear me up, when as the wheel which thou dost ever guide, desired spirit, with its harmony tempered of thee and measured, charmed mine ear, then seemed to me so much of heaven to blaze with the sun's flame, that rain or flood ne'er made a lake so broad. The newness of the sound, and that great light, inflamed me with desire, keener than e'er was felt, to know their cause. When she who saw me, clearly as myself, to calm my troubled mind, before I asked, opened her lips, and gracious thus began, with false imagination thou thyself makest dull, so that thou sayest not the thing, which thou hadst seen, had that been shaken off. Thou art not on the earth as thou believest, for lightning scapt from its own proper place ne'er ran, as thou hast hither now returned. Although divested of my first thrice doubt, by those brief words, accompanied with smiles, yet in new doubt was I entangled more, and said, already satisfied, I rest from admiration deep, but now admire how I above those lighter bodies rise. Whence, after utterance of a piteous sigh, she towards me bent her eyes, with such a look, as on her frenzied child a mother casts, then thus began, among themselves all things have order, and from hence the form, which makes the universe resemble God. In this the higher creatures see the printed steps of that eternal worth, which is the end whither the line is drawn. All natures lean, in this their order, diversely, some more, some less approaching to their primal source. Thus they to different havens are moved on through the vast sea of being, and each one with instinct given, that bears it in its course. This to the lunar sphere directs the fire, this prompts the hearts of mortal animals, this the brute earth together knits, and binds. Nor only creatures, void of intellect, are aimed at by this bow, but even those, that have intelligence and love, are pirked. That Providence, who so well orders all, with her own light makes ever calm the heaven, in which the substance, that hath greatest speed, is turned, and thither now, as to our seat predestined, we are carried by the force of that strong cord, that never looses dart, but at fair aim and glad. Yet is it true, that as ofttimes but ill accords the form to the design of art, through sluggishness of unreplying matter, so this course is sometimes quitted by the creature, who hath power, directed thus, to bend elsewhere, as from a cloud the fire is seen to fall, from its original impulse warped, to earth, by vicious fondness. Thou no more admire thy soaring, if I rightly deem, than lapse of torrent downwards from a mountain's height. There would in thee for wonder be more cause, if, free of hindrance, thou hadst fixed thyself below, like fire unmoving on the earth. So said, she turned toward the heave and her face.